Assistant AD for Communications Mike Sheridan joined the Villanova basketball family in 1998. Since that time, he has had one of the best seats in the house for every moment of more than 900 games. General Manager for men's and women's basketball Baker Dunleavy recently caught up with Mike to learn more about his remarkable career.
All right, I'm here with Mike Sheridan, our longtime sports information director in season 26, believe it or not. Nobody knows more about the history of Villanova basketball than Mike. But I'd like to start it, Mike, with selfishly, my growing up in basketball, reading a little something called Basketball Times. And a lot of our viewers who are older might remember this. Mike, what was it like working in that time where a publication like Basketball Times was so widely read, whereas today we're just on our phones taking everything in?
Well, you're right. Back in the day, Baker, that was the industry publication. I was fortunate at age 22 to get a job right out of Fordham University. My first job was at Basketball Times, and later acquired Eastern Basketball Magazine, which was good for me. I'm originally from the East Coast. It got me involved traveling back to cover basketball in the East, the Big East, the Atlantic 10, and it really was a great entryway. For somebody in their 20s and 30s, you couldn't imagine a better job. Get to go to Duke and Kentucky and Kansas and the stars of the day. I saw Shaq in the McDonald's All-American game. I interviewed David Robinson when he was a sophomore at Navy. So those kinds of things I got to do as a younger person. And it really gives you a good foundation of the understanding of college athletics and the business of it and the athletes. So you couldn't have asked for a better education.
That's an amazing way to break in. And then bringing you to Villanova, how did that come about? How did you get to this place that you've been so long now?
As I mentioned, Eastern basketball brought me to the East Coast a lot. So Philadelphia was a great location because you could come in and get 4 or 5 different leagues. You get the Ivy League with Penn, you get Villanova in the Big East, you get Temple and LaSalle and St. Joe's in the Atlantic 10. So I was here frequently, and the idea of being at a university as prestigious as Villanova was always appealing.
So Mike, you've been fortunate enough to work at Villanova long enough to serve under 3 head coaches. Obviously, every coach has their own different dynamic, personality, and style. But throughout that time, is there anything that stands out to you as kind of a constant, foundational, that has been across all 3 tenures?
I think all 3, Coach Lapis, Coach Wright, and now Coach Neptune, are all great communicators. And being at Villanova, one of the things that appealed to me as an outsider was how enjoyable it was to talk to the athletes, of which you were one. Some of our best ambassadors are our athletes, and we're standing in front of the display which shows off all 24 sports here at Villanova, and it's always enjoyable to have a member of the media come back and say, hey, I really enjoyed talking with Justin Moore or an athlete in another sport.
The beginning of Coach Wright's tenure, we had some ups and downs. You know, we had a little bit of chaos early on. I think within the team, as young guys, we were wondering, like, are we gonna break through? Are we gonna really be a great team that we should be? What do you remember about that group, and maybe a time where you felt like, all right, this team might end up being pretty good?
I think we go back to that week of Kansas in 2005, your junior year, and if you recall, we lost to BC. We were up 66-60 with, I think, like 2 minutes to go. They scored the final 7 points of the game, man. And we ended up losing. And then 3 days later, in a snowstorm, Allen Ray has a great game, and we thumped Kansas, who was number 2 in the country at that time. So within the span of 4 days, it kind of illustrates the ups and downs. Boston College was very good at that time. I think they were number 3 in the country. Yep. And you're like, I don't know if we're ever going to get there. 3 days later, it happened.
And we ended up getting those guys later on in the pavilion that year.
We did.
Big game for Kyle Lowry when Mike Nardi was hurt. I remember. You've got a pretty good memory of things that have happened here, and I had put that 7-point comeback out of my memory, but thanks for putting that back in there.
Yeah, gave you a great memory there.
We've mentioned you've been around for a while here at Villanova, and you're also known to have a memory of a lot of things that have happened here. I want to put you to the test. Do you remember, of the 5 guys that started the first game you ever worked at Villanova back in 1998, do you remember who was part of that starting 5?
Sure. John Celestand, Jermaine Medley, Howard Brown, Brooks Sales, and Malik Allen. Rafael Biggis was also on that team, and they switched Biggie out. Brooks Sales moved into the starting lineup in the middle part of January that year.
So Mike, you stay anywhere this long, it's got to mean a lot to you. What makes this place, Villanova, so special to you?
I think it's the same way it is for a lot of people. It's the people. It's the people you've gotten to work with and enjoy some tremendous highs, 4 Final Fours in my case, a couple national championships. You come to work every day and you're excited to be there. You get to work with a great bunch of people, and to me, that's the big thing.
I know our former players, our fans, everybody involved in the program takes such great pride in the way our players really represent the program up at the press conference and on the court. And you've been a huge part of that, so we're all really appreciative, and thank you for everything you've done for us.
Thank you, Baker.